Now I've got this pilot now, he's going to fly it in. We can definitely do something with this. That was the game changer. He's still high risk now after 17 years. I did flood the market because I'm a greedy bastard. It was 2,100 quid a key when I started. When we finished, it was 725 quid. So you would have a car in front and you would have a car at the back. You would radio through and say the police are here. So then you would stop. His name is Luke Livesley and he was Dale Cregan's co-defendant. I spent 2 years with Dale about silly things like cars. And he said, tell him what we do with our money. And it was build schools. And I was embarrassed. Well, I seen you on P Diddy's yacht as it goes.
Wasn't me.
It was you though, wasn't it?
Never met P Diddy.
Put the gun in the pizza box, knock the door, and when he opens it, shoot him twice.
Yeah, people say, well, that's not a way a member of the royal family should act.
The one bit that they have is that one girl's one statement. He is nothing like the media portray. He's super, super intelligent. He's one of the kindest, politest too. And I can see all these people running down. I'm thinking, you know, someone's in the shit here. Little did I realise it was me who was going to be in the shit.
Welcome back to the Criminal Connection podcast, and this episode is proudly brought to you by Betovo. Before we get stuck into this week's episode, we're going to give a big shout out to our sponsors.
You're probably wondering how the Podfather brings you the best true crime podcast every week without fail, with great energy. Well, here's the thing. To bring that energy, I have to feel my best and be at my best. And that's where Hype Energy drinks come in with their powerful blend of vitamins, taurine and caffeine. Hype Energy gives me that extra edge to stay sharp and focused in every interview. It's not just about the buzz. It's about clarity, alertness and bringing my A game to every conversation. Now, Hype Energy isn't your average fuel. We're talking flavours like explosive cherry, red berry buzz, and even mojito, mint and lime. No weird aftertaste, just bold and refreshing flavour. No wonder they've won an award for taste, right? And if you're all about the zero sugar life, make sure you check out the watermelon and cheesecake flavours. All the flavour with none of the guilt. Yeah, I know, cheesecake in a can sounds mad, right? But trust me, it'll blow your mind. Now, the marketing team at Hype Energy keep telling me that MFP stands for more friggin' power. Now, I've told them it's not about that, it's about more friggin' Podfather. Know what I mean? And lucky for you lot, if you want to try it out, go to the checkout and type in Podfather in the offer code and get 20% off. Not only that, if you use this exclusive code, you'll be entered into a competition prize draw where you'll be in with a chance to win a Hype goodie bag signed by yours truly. And 5 lucky winners will get a 3-month supply of Hype. So let's get into it. The Podfather is officially powered by Hype Energy drinks, because when you feel your best, you're at your best.
Introducing a proper raw men's fashion brand that has untamed energy inspired by relentless warriors while remaining cheeky and rebellious. Simian Saboteur is not just about style. This brand is a movement and a rebellion against the ordinary. This clothing is crafted for those that face life head on. Our new collection fuses classic design with modern edge. If you want to express your true warrior identity, strength and boldness, then join our tribe of real modern men. Explore our collection of casual wear, active gear and statement pieces that are as unique as you are. Our new collection is now live, and as a special treat for our Criminal Connection podcast crew, use this fantastic discount code BANANA5 on the checkout for an exclusive 5% discount off your first order. Visit www.simiansaboteur.com. Check them out in the link below. So if you'd like to find out about any of our fabulous sponsors, make sure you check out the links in the description below.
You've come out of the Eclipse.
Yeah.
You're now entering what would you say that's when you got into the major criminality, when you left the Eclipse?
We're not going to get this done, are we?
Everybody, and welcome back to part 2 of the Stuart Reid episode. Now we're diving straight back in from part 1. So if you haven't seen it, I strongly suggest it. It's a great episode. So check out Stuart Reid part 1 and then watch Stuart Reid part 2. And we are lining it up for a part 3. So make sure you get up to date with these episodes. They're outstanding, they're epic, and we will see you on the other side.
Yeah, not long after that, yeah. I'll tell you exactly what was happening. We're still doing the tapes, as you know. We're still doing the music. So it was bringing in decent revenue. You know, I had a young family with 2 kids, both going to nice schools, cost money to do all these things. So we're doing all right. Everybody's fine. But we're going downhill. We're not increasing. Others have overtaken us, Dreamscape, the likes of yourselves, Fantasias, all these other ones. They're doing much better and doing all that. So I can't complain at that because I had my moment. We brought them out. I was one of the first people to bring the tapes out. I created the tape market, no matter what anyone said, only through the background of the direct marketing that we'd had when we were younger.
Yeah.
So I'm doing club nights to try and keep the DATs going, to do the tapes. To be honest, I'm dying on my ass, Terry. I'm having to drive to Burnley to do Angels. The people are lovely. Right. The club's great. I just want to kill myself. I don't want to be there. It's just shit. It's just shit. It's done. When something's done, it's done.
And you have to know when to move on, right?
Yeah. And I wasn't moving on because I was trying to drag the ass out of it. I was hanging on for that. And then all of a sudden I get a phone call. And this is a God's gospel truth. I get a phone call from my friend in Scotland. He says to me, I've got a pilot here who's looking for work. Do you know anyone who wants him? I didn't have a clue. But I said, yeah. That's exactly what happened. Right. I said, yeah, of course I do. He said, well, he wants to meet you to talk about it. So I said, yeah, fine. Go on then. Tell me where I'm going to meet him. You're going to meet me in Watford Gap, rather. So we've arranged the time and I've gone and met him.
All the good business gets done at Watford Services.
Yeah, right, yeah. Well, in fairness, he turns up and he actually, I'm expecting him to look like Biggles, with the, the white scarf and, a
flying jacket, goggles on the head.
But he doesn't. He turns up, he's got the navy blue sort of, standard jumper on with the, the flying epaulets on his shoulders. And we get talking and everything. And he's a retired commercial airline pilot who flies basically now for anyone.
Right.
Because he wants to keep on flying and it's expensive to fly and everything else. So I say to him, what can you do? And he says, I can do anything. I can bring people in the country. I can pick people up. I can take people out. I can bring drugs in. I can do this and everything else. And I said, well, I'm not into all that people bringing people in and out, which I wasn't. I wasn't into that. I said,
think of the money you could make now with all them immigrants that are coming on the boats. You could have Reid's immigration services.
The only problem is with that is, as it's been shown, you only need one to be rogue and have bad intentions, which has happened occasionally, hasn't it?
Right.
And you could be responsible for the death of 20, 40, 50 people. I would never...
I was joking, by the way.
No, I know. I know you were. But to be honest, I've always said this. In the book, I say it again. I say the same thing about criminality. It's mad that I would do all these things that I'm talking about, and yet I would never drive my car without insurance or MOT or a tax. All the normal things that people do, I comply and I do. It's just that I do everything. I try to explain this to say to people that what I do is the guy who's in the army, as I told you, he doesn't come home at the weekend and shoot his kids and everything. And the guy who works in like Rolls-Royce factory doesn't come home and put a big old chassis and four wheels up on his dining table at the weekend. Well, that's the same with me. What I do is what I did to make my living. It's not who I am as a person. When I used to come home at the weekend or in the night, and that, I do everything normal that normal kids do. Right. But okay, in brackets, I'm a scumbag drug dealer. Right. So I said, let me work on that and I'll come straight back to you. So I knew I had a really good friend who'd moved to Spain many, many years ago and had always left messages, contact me. I can make you money. You send someone out here, I'll strap them up, I'll squeeze it in, put it into batteries, put it into liquid, we'll strap them up. We'll make money. Whatever, we can make money doing drugs. Never interested, Tom. Honest. No, you're all right. No, you're all right. No, you're all right. Now I've got this pilot now. He's going to fly it in. So I said, let me speak to my friend. I speak to my friend. He's dead excited. Oh, yes, we can definitely do something with this. So that really was the game changer. That was the game changer for the start of it. I was plodding along, doing the tapes, doing my music, doing that. I got that offered to me. Them immortal sort of words. I got a pilot here. Can you do anything with him?
I mean, it's a random conversation to have,
I spoke
and then you thinking, funny you should say that.
Well,
I've got someone.
Yeah, I did straight away. Like I said to you, I don't belie myself on what I said. I said to him, oh yeah, of course I have. Yeah, I can do something. I didn't have a clue. As our bloke's driving down from Glasgow or wherever he was driving down from, I'm thinking to myself, and the only reason he's come to see me is because he's gone up there and the people there he's done something for and they've robbed him, which is madness really, because I went to work with him for a number of years and you can make great money with pilots. Once 2001 came in, as soon as 9/11 happened, everything went tits up because I could fly into a number of airports and leave from a number of airports in the UK. Believe it or not, there's hundreds, if not thousands, and there is. And as long as you put a flight plan in and tell them where you're going and all the rest of it, you're gone. That's it. No one comes see you. The police don't turn up and say, can I have a look in your plane? You just go. You just fly from, I don't know, Lyd Airport or this particular airport, and you put in your flight plan, and if you decide to turn left instead of turn right, well, who's going to stop you? Only that someone might, at the other end where you're meant to go, say, why didn't you turn up? But if I wanted to, say, take you out the country now today, I could get you in a plane. Well, no, not now. Not now. Let's make that clear. Not now. But the scenario is I would pick you up, you jump in a plane, we would fly. We would land in something like Girona or something like that, or some little airfield in France or in Belgium. We would get out, and you would just hold up a purple book like that, your Pazzi. You would just hold it, and the geezer in the tower would just go like that, or in there, you just go like that, and you'd go through. That was it. You just carry on. Wow. That was it. And you can do that in reverse. And I've done it in reverse, and I've done it before for people out the country, people in.
So it's mainly like when you're sort of smuggling drugs, it would be it'd be small airport to small airport.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. If ever you've seen that film with Tom Cruise in, where we used to get these little, the guy used to take them all out on lease. The hardest thing is getting the stands, Terry. Right. That's like your parking place. Because if you haven't got one of them, you can't just ring someone up and say, I've got a plane with 300 or 500 kilo in it. I'll just drop it down in your air. You can't. You've got to have a space. You've got to have a place. And like hangars have got stands and you've got to pay for them. They all cost money. This plane thing, believe it or not, it used to cost hundreds of thousands of pounds. Wow. It's good money. But what we used to do, because he was an engineer as well, he was really clever. He used to take everything out. So he'd take all the seats out. So if we had one that fitted 6'8",
fit more gear in.
That's right. That's what we would do, take it out. But people have got to understand, when they see this, if you speak to someone normal on the street, they think, yeah, he's got a plane. He can bring back 5 tons. No, you can't. You could probably bring back, 200-300 kilo in it. That's
Is that just because it can't cope with any more weight?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, they're only what they are. Oh, I got to know so much about flying in the end because he'd phone me up some days and say, I can't take off at the moment because it's my inflatables on the wings are frozen up and I need to be out. And I'll talk to my business partner at the time and tell him, and my business partner would say, I'm going to do him in, Stuart. He's full of shit. He's on the wind up. He's just taking the piss. And I'd go, hold on a minute. Then, I'd be watching the Discovery Channel and I'd see airplane accident where somebody's flying in the air and they have these things that you'd have in your tyres in a cycle on these smaller planes that when the ice gets on the front of them, you press a button, they inflate, it cracks the ice falls off, and the weight don't tip the back. I don't know all these things.
Right.
I'm watching Discovery Channel. I phone my business partner. I say, I'll switch Discovery on now. Look, that's it. He's not full of shit. He's just he's stopped there. But that's what we used to do. We used to go to Morocco or go to Spain. We pick all the shit up. And we would bring it back into the UK. And at that time, cannabis was getting between retail, you was getting between sort of 2,000 to 2,200 quid a kilo. He was buying it for about 300 to 400 quid a kilo.
Wow.
And we was paying him it was a bit more actually. In them days, it was probably a bit more. It was probably about 400 or 500 quid a kilo. And we was paying him about 300 to 350 quid a kilo back.
Wow. So I suppose that was good for him. It topped up his pension, right?
Oh, the story with him, which I'll come back to in the end, is so bad it's unreal. I don't know what ever happened to him now. I know he ended up getting 80. He got an 18-year sentence.
18 years.
Yeah, years later. Nothing to do with me. With someone else he was working with. Whilst I was away, once I'd got sentenced on my 12, because I got a 12-year sentence for drugs, cannabis, that he was bringing in, actually. He was bringing it in. But once, like I said, 9/11 happened, 2001, the plane and everything had to stop because the checks were just too ferocious. They They wanted to make sure it was just virtually impossible. You can't do that now. You could do it before. Same as passports. Years ago, you could go and show a dodgy passport at a crossing, a border crossing, and that. You can't do that now. A dodgy passport might be okay if you're going to open a bank account or a user's ID to go and get a rental property or something like that. But now, if you want to get into a different country, they know if that's real or not,
right? Because
they can't afford to have anybody. Wandering about here.
And when you started off, what was your first shipment?
If I'm being honest, I believe it was 80 kilo. 80 kilo, because we wanted to see whether or not he could do what he could do, and I didn't have any money. I had nothing. I'd pawned everything that I'd owned. I was driving around, I don't know if you can remember I had it, but this was before then. I had a nice Merc and everything, but I didn't even have the money to put the petrol in it.
Right.
I had nothing, so it was that. But a friend of mine, the guy who ended up being a business partner, fair play to him, he put the money up. So for the first thing, we bought the first lot together, and when it came, the irony was, it was shit. So that was double jeopardy, double kick in the arse, and so I got back in touch with my guy over there and said, listen, that's a living piss take, that is. We've got it. We've wrapped and tapped it and packed it. And anyone who knows anything about the game knows that it's all money. You've got to pay somebody to pick it up. You've got to pay somebody to wrap and tack it in the vac pack machines. You've got to do this. You've got to do that. You've got to get it up to where it is. It all costs money to do that. You've got to pay drivers to get up there. And this is in the days when nowadays it's not so hard. But years ago, I don't know if you're familiar with what they do on Spanish roads and motorways and everything, but they run rolling roadblocks all the time. I've never seen them in the UK ever. But between the peages, which are the tolls, they run rolling roadblocks. So if you're moving, say, 500-600 kilo up to Madrid, or you want to move it up to Girona or something like that, where the airport is, from down at the bottom in La Linea, because La Linea used to be one of our main importing areas from the ribs used to come over, it's only about 12 miles away. They used to come from Morocco, used to come over, drop the stuff off. Everyone from the village runs out, grabs all the Hessian sacks, puts it all that. We used to bring it all up. But they do rolling roadblocks. So you would have a car in front and you would have a car at the back. So if there was police up at the front, you would radio through and say, the police are here. So then you would stop. You would pull over, you wait till the police roadblock either moved on or there. Because they'd normally wait round a bend, wait for you to come round, do the sticks, pull you over, and then first thing they do is put their hand on your chest, see if your heart's beating out your chest. You got chocolate? Always ask you got chocolate? No, I've got no chocolate. And then you'd have one at the back, and he'd do the same. If one come over,
could you not pay him off if they pulled you or not? Or that would
No, funny enough, listen,
because I've heard stories where they have literally, if you get pulled over drinking in Spain, you just give them €100 and let you go. I mean, I've never done it.
Two of my friends said, I don't talk shit, I never tell lies. I might tell a white lie to make my story sound a bit better. Right. I don't tell lies. Two of my friends were driving down from up by sort of Calpe, Marrera, with £540,000 sterling to go and buy their drugs, and were pulled over by the Spanish police. And they looked in the bags in the boot, and they seen all the money and took them up the mountains, pistol whipped them, laughed at them, and took their money and drove off. That's what you're dealing with over there. And we'll come back to the police later on about Spanish police, because I got asked to do a job once in Spain to go and another escape job, actually, to go and a guy who was in the high security jail in Madrid, and they wanted someone to get him out. And not by breaking into the prison, but when he went to a hospital appointment, he was going to wound himself, go to a hospital appointment, and they wanted us to arrange to go and get the job done. Now I went and had a look as a favour, actually, and at the time I had a few friends over there, so we had it all planned and worked out. I thought correctly. We had a couple of Ducatis. The guy was going to go on a hospital visit. He was going to jump out one of the bathroom windows. We was going to pick him up, take him to the plane. The plane was going to pick him up, fly him back to wherever he wanted to go, because he was looking at, him and his partner, they were both looking at, they'd been sentenced in their absence in the UK to 16 years imprisonment, so they definitely didn't want to do that. And they were also wanted over in Ibiza, because they were quite clever. What this crowd used to do was they were really clever. They'd work strong from the flat Holland, between October and April, sending big parcels back, making money. And then from April to October, go and live in Ibiza and just live like rock stars, hire them villas for 12.5 grand a week or a month, whatever they were doing, and just supply everyone on the island. And I mean everyone. They would have people flying in with like, an ounce of Charlie up their ass, swallowed bits of it was mad. They were doing huge, massive parcels from October to sort of April. And then come April, they were sending people like with, 2 blocks of cannabis and everything. It was just madness, but they were doing very well. So one of them had been nicked crossing over with some personal and ended up looking at getting 16 years. So they wanted to just go and bust him out. So I went, we had a recce, we did all the stuff and we met him and all that. But I said, this don't quite sort of work out. We've had a look. You're telling him, how's he going to get out? They said, what it is, we need you to go in and stun gun the police officers. I just laughed. I said, are you mad? Stun gun the police officers? Yeah. I said, it's not normal dibble, It's not the blues, the police here.
But they've got guns, yeah.
Yeah, and they've got guns anyway. It's the...
Guardia Civil.
Guardia Civil. The ones in the green who are just... They beat up the ones in the blue. I've been out and I've seen one of them batter a cop out. Literally just get out of his car, walk over and iron one out, just punch him to death on the floor. So I know they're getting... No. That's the beauty of the plan. Because it's a hospital. When you stun gun them, they won't shoot you. And I said, are you mad? I said, I don't care if I was in a church. Someone stun guns me. Once I get myself back together, I'm shooting you. So they didn't want to. I said, I'm not going to do that. I can't do that. The budget, Terry, was fantastic. We could have literally anything we wanted. Like I said, anything we wanted. They wanted them out. They earned really good money. Then they decided they want me to ram them off the road. I said, no, we're going to kill people. We're going to kill them and him. I said, no, we're not doing that. And anyway, it didn't do. I don't know what happened in the end, but we definitely didn't do it because they're a bit lively, them Spanish police, make no mistake about it. They are. And they've never changed. I've just seen recently on social media where they did a big clampdown in Benidorm and they're just pulling people and ragging them all over the place. They don't care. They're not like here.
So on the bank holiday weekend in May, my son was out in my road doing an event and he said there were tanks and soldiers because there was a lot of shootings at the beach clubs where different gangs are like fucking fighting over drugs and different things. And there's a few shootings down there. And unfortunately, that is going to ruin my bad because obviously if you're going there to party or your kids are going at a party and you fucking see that, they're not going. No. Do you know what I mean? Because it's not about...
I've seen it. I've seen them on some of the reels where you can see them chasing each other up and down the street.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Murder, death, and what is it? Murder, death?
Yeah. Oh, that murder, death, kill stuff. I don't hold with any of it. And don't get me wrong. If someone's climbing through your bedroom window, coming to kill you, I think you're entitled to do whatever's necessary to do it. But all that other stuff, that's just all nonsense. I've spoken, Terry, to that many guys and that many people, and I've got a really, really good friend. And I don't know whether I should say his name because whether or not it will be detrimental to him, but. He's part of...
Just call him Mr. X.
Yeah, well... no, his name is Luke Livesley, and he's changed it now. He's changed his surname now. But he was Dale Cregan's co-defendant in one of the murders.
I mean, he was crazy, wasn't he? I mean, did he blow up a policeman with a hand grenade or something?
Well, he shot 2 police women, didn't he?
That's right.
He killed them, and then he threw the hand grenades at them afterwards. And then I think he went and killed that Mark Short's dad, and he threw a few hand grenades on him for good measure. No, he killed Mark Short in the pub, then he killed Mark Short's dad, then he went on his toes, then he went to the house, the person's house, and then he drew the officers there. He didn't know they were going to be women, but they came, he did it. And like I say, before I carry on, I don't say anything to glamorise, but by the same token, I don't say anything to demonise Terry. I don't know what's going through these people's minds, what they've done. Yeah. I spent 2 years with Dale. And I did. He's no longer at Full Sutton. He's in Ashworth. Because
he's blind in one eye, isn't he?
Well, he's only got one eye.
Right.
He had some fight or something in Thailand or something like that, and he's blind. He's super fit. Unbelievably fit. Absolutely super fit. And in fairness, again, it's not my place to tell his story, but I see some comments, some recent comments about that. Everyone's got to understand, right? It says it in the book. It mentions it in the book. It does tell the story about it, what he explained to me. And the police have got a lot of answers, and I know that there'll be so many hating on me now, saying, yeah, typical wanker and all that and all this. You know, they were women, but they were police officers first, and then they were women, no matter how you want to dress it up. And the police there, whilst looking for him, made it abundantly clear to members of his family that wouldn't it be tragic if, whilst they were looking for him, armed police officers, a tragic accident was to take place in one of his family's homes. Now, you can read into that message what you want to read into it.
Right.
But that's what was said to his family. That was said to his family. Because obviously the police will use any tactics to try and get somebody to say, give yourself up, please come in, please hand yourself in.
Right.
Some people might take that the wrong way and think, what does that mean? Is that you saying like that there could be something really tragic happen to a member of my family?
Right.
So he wasn't having any of that. Now, like I say, I'm not here to, definitely not to glamorise,
Right.
but I'm definitely not here to demonise, because again, I cover this extensively in it as well, about all these shootings. Now, the police have shot many, many people. I name them in the book.
Right.
Many, many people. Stuart Granger, to name that. Who's the guy? It slips my mind at the moment. Well, 3,000 people in the country were arrested for him when they shot him. They shot him and killed him because they thought he had a gun. May have had a gun.
Was that the guy in North London?
Yeah, well, I forget his name now. Giselle Rodney or something there. I forget them all, I should really know them all, but they're in the book. I've done my research. I know people who know them.
Right.
You know, Stuart Granger was sat in an Audi car with nothing, and they shot him through the windscreen dead. No life sentence. No one charged with murder. No, because the reason why I bring it up is with Dale, people have to remember, he has a total life sentence. He will never, ever come out of prison ever again. The only time he will come out is in a coffin or in an ash box. That's it.
I was going to say, I was hoping you could get him on the podcast.
Well, where he is, believe it or not, he could possibly do that. Some of them can do that. They can create them on the iPhones, can't they, and then send them out to there.
Right.
But yeah, he's probably one of, I think there's about 70 total life prisoners. So that's really all, you know, that there is. So yeah, I don't know how we got onto that thing, but yeah, I do cover it, and I think it is worth going into because, again, I'm not trying to demonise them, but there has not been, at the moment, I think there's one just been charged, hasn't there, with the Cabba shooting, right? But I think he's the first one that I've ever seen that's an officer that's ever been there. Right. And if you do your investigating on that, because I know I've listened to you before when you've said you will have law officers on, and I understand that because it's a criminal connection podcast, so they're part of the jigsaw. I get that, but people do need to have, there does need to be checks and balances, and they have ironed out a few people with them. And when you get the IOPC and people like that involved, and they come back with these reports where they thought he had a gun. Well, you know, what does that mean? You thought he had a gun? What is? Well, if you thought he had a gun, or the best one was the one, I forget, Dale, it was Mark Duggan, I think.
Mark Duggan, that was the name.
That was scandalous, where they said, yes, we think he threw a gun. Well, if he threw the gun, why are you ironing him out then? If he threw that gun away, why did you carry on shooting him then? When they did the hard stop on that, I forget his name now. It's in there, Giselle Rodney. I'm sure that's his name. When they did the hard stop on him, I remember that guy on a TV programme, the officer who killed him, admitting to killing 3 people.
Wow. Because
I understand that there are split-second decisions, so that they have to, but they're trained for these things. They're meant to be trained for them, but they do these murders and they get away with it. No one's ever been given a whole life term. No police officer, never been convicted of murder. And there's lots, Terry. If you go, you'd be so shocked if you actually went through the Freedom of Information Act and found out how many people have been shot and killed by police. It's quite a few. It is quite a few.
I think there's a lot more in America than there are.
Oh yeah, it's horrendous over there.
And obviously, when you got into doing this, so going back to obviously when we were talking about the smuggling, you did the 8 kilos the first time, and then obviously when you got it up to the max, was you like that guy in Jaws where you was like, we need to get a bigger plane?
Kind of, yeah. To be honest, yeah, we were doing well, and we were, and he was coming back and going back and coming back.
And was it just literally the plane turned up, you park it up, you unload it, and then you distribute it to whoever's buying it?
Yeah, I used to, all my stuff used to be sold before it came. It always would be. When I first started doing it, somebody gave me, I'll never forget this, it's a true story this is, apart from the plane, somebody gave me 4 key once as a reward for giving them a contact. I gave them a contact. Wow. And I didn't have a clue who to sell it to. Genuinely, didn't have a clue. I thought, who am I going to sell this to? And I phoned somebody up who I knew, who's dead now. And he went, yeah, I'll have that, Stuart. Boosh. And he took it and he come straight back with the money. And I thought, wow, how do these people do it?
Right.
Within 9 months, I was taking not on the plane, I was taking deliveries of 1.5 ton every 6 to 8 weeks. Wow. And it was gone. The day it came, it was gone. The only reason why we left it 6 to 8 weeks is because we didn't want to flood the market. Right. And then in the end, I did flood the market because I'm a greedy bastard. And I ruined it. I ruined the draw game. Anyone who was out there who was into what we call cannabis, the draw at the time, they'll tell you that we killed it. I absolutely killed it. It was 2,100 quid a key when I started. When we finished, it was 725 quid a key. Wow. You made more money on the transport.
So I can now tell everybody that I know the cannabis king.
Yeah. I was having a go. There was others doing it.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, others doing it bigger than me. There's people
He
out
was
there.
a cannabis prince then.
Yeah. I was just busy. I was just very busy, Tal. Very busy.
Did you then think, actually, I'm going to move into some other stuff, or did you always just stick with the puff?
No, it's mad you say that. It's not in the prison book, and it's not. But it's in the final book. Out of the trilogy, it's in the very final book, My Yellow Jumper, the very final one. It's in there.
Right.
Because with the pilot, I could have instantly changed that 300 key of cannabis, because his maximum weight was about 350 key.
Right.
So that's what we were bringing. With him, we was bringing 350 all the time. It was only when I sort of like, the people over there were saying, listen, sure, we'll give you whatever. I didn't even have to buy anything in the end. That's how mad it was.
Right.
That the people I was working with, the Moroccans, because what happened was, you asked me a question earlier on about why we had 80, and I told you we didn't have any money.
Right.
So we was getting the 80 back, selling it, changing it, going back, buying more, changing it, buying back, trying to get some on bail. They give you some on bail. If you buy something, they give you some.
Reloading and coming again.
Yeah, but it was taking forever. It was frustrating me. Even though we was making, I think, me and my partner at the time, we were making about 47 grand every time we had a hit.
Right.
It's nice money. For me, it was lovely money. Yeah. I was the happiest I'd been in years because I had a nice...
I mean, that was every fucking 6 weeks. I mean, that's a lot of money.
Oh, listen, Tal, I was really happy. We was doing great. Well,
was you walking down the road singing, I'm happy and I'm clapping my hands?
I was driving. I was driving a 500 SL at the time. So, I was happy doing that. And I had all the trinkets and everything that all these silly people get, me included, when you first get into flash cash.
Right.
But so I was doing all that sort of stuff, and we was doing well. But I was coming back to the story about the people that were supplying us. In the end, I went back to them. I said, listen, this is going to take forever. So one of the people who used to collect their cash for me over here, because I used to do some of their stuff as well, was a young kid called Edmund. And I thought that he was Moroccan. Turns out he wasn't. He was Venezuelan. He was 15 years of age, and he used to have braces on his teeth, and he used to come and collect their cash. And I would meet him at a railway station, pick him up, give him the bags, and then drive him to another railway station 20 minutes down the road, leave him, he'd get on the train and go back to wherever and drop their money off. So I said to him, come here. So he came up to where I was living, and I said, this is where I'm living, this is my driving license, this is it. Go back and tell him I can't work like this. It's going to take us forever to build up. And the very next week, the guy sent me 800 for nothing. I didn't even have to take a penny out of my pocket. Nothing, not a penny tell. Just sent me 800 key. So I thought, well, that's good. So when that come back, I phoned them up and said, yeah, brilliant, I've got that, it's all placed done. Within a week, I'll have your paper. They went, good, tomorrow morning, there's 1.6 ton there for you. So, wow. And that's what happened. And do you know the arguments I used to have with them? And people will laugh, they're probably sitting at home thinking he's full of shit, but it's the truth. The arguments I used to have with them, I used to phone them up and say, you've got to get someone here to come and collect your money. Because I used to have that much money, that much paper about me. You can't hide it, Terry. There's only so many places you can put it. So I didn't want to be responsible for 2.3 million quid. I didn't want all that. I didn't want that responsibility. And they used to say to me, put it into gold, do this, send it here, send it there. It wasn't bothered. We had no trust issues.
Right.
So from that day onwards, I was sorted. It was just whatever I wanted, I'd just phone them, they would just send it. We would have a deal. Half of it would be mine, or mine and my partner's.
Right.
Half it would be theirs, and I would give them UK price minus the X's, like for the transport or whoever it was doing it. And they loved that because Moroccans were selling it into Spain to middlemen who were then selling it on to English or German or whoever.
So you went straight to the direct?
Oh, yeah. No, I insisted on meeting him. He came from Tangiers. He used to meet me. And when he came, I always remember this. It was quite embarrassing because he sat down in front of me and he looked like, I don't even know how to explain it, right? He looked like Rolf Harris. He had, he did. He had this big beard down here. He had this big multicoloured jumper on, one that it looked like his mum had knitted for him.
He didn't have an Australian accent.
No,
because I'm just wondering if it really was. It might have been Rolf Harris, you know. He might
have asked me to didgeridoo. But so he was, and he had a pair of sandals on. And I thought, they're taking the living piss here. What, this guy's the head of this thing. So he sat with me, and with Edmund, the interpreter, I don't speak Arabic. I speak a few, but I don't speak Arabic. He basically says to Edmund, ask him what I do with my money. I said, well, I buy fucking silly things like cars and holidays, and I do stuff and everything. And he said, tell him what we do with our money. And it was build schools, build water, put irrigation in and everything in the village that they're in and everything. Right. And that's genuinely what they did.
Wow.
And I was embarrassed because I thought, no, I don't want to know that. Yeah. You're not getting me on.
You're making me feel guilty now.
Yeah, you're not getting me on some guilt trip. No, I'm doing it purely because I want to be wealthy and I don't want to have to do anything ever again. Right. And at the time, I was accumulating loads of things, properties and everything else, and building up a property portfolio, and I was doing all right. So, that's really we got into that. Getting back to the question you asked, but the pilot at 350. I could have changed that and got into cocaine. And I literally, Terry, would have went from wealthy to unbelievably wealthy within a fortnight. Because just on delivery alone, you could charge, anyone who knows the game who's watching will know what I'm saying is true, between 1,000 and 2,000 quid a unit. So I could have charged 700,000 quid just to bring 350 key of cocaine into the UK.
Wow.
And out of that 350 key of cocaine, I would have obviously been buying into the parcel because I wouldn't have been bringing it back, or I'd buy it in for myself. So I literally would have been making tens of millions, but I had some romantic notion that cocaine and importing cocaine was really bad. And I was scared, if I'm honest, because I know a few people, you end up with 30 odd years in prison.
Right. Okay. So if you'd have got caught, well, you did get caught, but if you'd have got done for coke, it would have been a lot worse than.
Cannabis. Terrible! It would have been 30 odd years,
wow.
28, 30 years, and I didn't want to do that. I didn't think I had it in me to do it. I knew that cannabis was a risk. I didn't think that cannabis affected people that much. You know, I think you're more likely to be killed if someone put it in a sock and hit you over the head with a cannabis bar than you smoke it. But we could argue all day long whether or not the benefits or the detrimental effects of drugs in comparison to tobacco and alcohol and all that. I don't want to get on that soapbox because I'll lose.
But a lot of people do say that there's more people that die from smoking and drinking than drugs.
Yeah, there is.
And that's a fact. It's not a spin. It's not a promotion. No. It's not advocating drug use, but it's a fact.
No, and all the spin-offs from it, all the detrimental things that happen through alcoholism and stuff, that the amount of families that are broken through drink and everything. But that all gets put. It's not the narrative that the government want you to hear, because at the moment they reap all the tax from all the drink and all the tax from the tobacco, so that they're quite happy with. They haven't been able to regulate the drug world as such, although they do, because they do it in a different way. They call it POCA. So they just wait for you to go and make all the money, and then they take it all off you. They just rob you legally.
Right.
That's what they do. They just rob you. I've been robbed legally twice off them for £750,000, and like I just mentioned earlier, for £1 million again on the last one. And these are not made up. You know, I'm sat here. I'm trying. These are in black and white. These are, go in the newspaper, Google me, put it in. Yeah, he had to pay 1.3 million quid. It's heartbreaking. Right. Do you know how hard that is to earn that money? Like, people think when they weigh you off in court, it always makes me laugh. Like, you're the biggest scumbag since God ever created, and you know
you're the Pablo Escobar of cannabis cannabis in Coventry.
Yeah.
You're a bad man.
Yeah, it's really bad. And I'm thinking to myself, do you know what? I said, if you actually knew how hard I've worked to get this, I've had to go and
I've had to get the fucking pilot.
Yeah.
I've had to fucking go and meet the geezer with the sandals who looks like Rolf Harris. You know what I mean?
I've had to get it past borders. That's really difficult. I've had to give it to people, make sure that they don't rob me and they pay me. Then I've had to get all that money collected, recycled and sent back over. All of this is hard and difficult. And then all of a sudden...
Let's just hope if this geezer's still around that if his interpreter watches this, he doesn't Google who fucking Rolf Harris is.
No, but he did. He wasn't what I was expecting. I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't him. But he was just a normal guy from there. But he controlled all the thing. See, in the UK, people weren't like this, but we used to just take the shit. Like the cannabis blocks that everyone smoked in the UK and everything. They call them the fours. Like because it's 4 9-ounce bars of cannabis stamped with whatever stamp they were. That's the shit of the plant. The good stuff, the pollen and that, mainly used to go to like the Germans or the Italians. They like a good smoke or the smell, but we didn't. We're just sort of.
We got the dog shit stuff basically.
Yeah, no, but that is true. Now, apparently, 4x4s is nowhere near a bigger market. I haven't heard anything about it since I've been out, but it's not what it was. Everyone now is onto the weed, homegrown weed, or the others like the AMs, the Callies, and all the other different stuff. So, yeah, it's a different thing. But
if you look at what you earn over when you started and when you've obviously your career come to an end in that, and then you obviously had to do that stuff. Would if you look back on it and someone said to you, "Oh, Stuart, you can get in a fucking time machine, go back, and not do it," would you still have done it? Do you think?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
No, I've been asked this. By psychiatrists, the same thing. I've said
obviously I'm not Dr. Terry. I was only joking earlier. But no, I'm just interested. To see.
Yeah. No, I've said it before. I'll make this statement because I say this. I never speak to the police, Terry. They'll tell you.
Right.
I don't say no comment. I don't speak to them. Right. Anyone's more than welcome to have copies of my interviews. I do not speak to them. I sit there and remain silent because that's what I'm advised to do. I don't speak to them. But when they finish all the interview and everything, I'm only human. I like to just have a chinwag with them and talk shit and all the rest of it as the awkward silence when they've just told you they're going to charge you with 4 things that are going to send you to jail forever. And I always remember, and I say it to them and I've said it to when I'm talking to them, I said, there's not really that much difference between you and I. It's just you'll die wishing and I won't. And it takes them a little while. Some of them, it goes over their head. But some of them, they get it. They understand where it's coming from. Yeah, why would I? Why would I change it? I've done everything. I've had everything. I've done everything that you want to do and I've had everything that you could do. And I'm not a multimillionaire. I've never been one of the and that's another thing that always makes me laugh. And if you've got a calculator at home, get ready for this because I always say this, and this is always something there. When people talk about money, about millionaire and all that, £1 million, nothing. If I gave you a pound every second, do you know how long it would take you to spend £1 million?
No.
It would take you 12 days. You work this out on your calculators.
Wow.
Now, if I gave you £1 billion and you spent a pound every second, do you know how long that would take you?
No.
About 33 years.
Fucking hell.
Now, that's money.
Can you give me $1 billion?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's money. And if you work that out, it's a pound every second. It means 60 seconds in a minute. So that's £60 a minute times 60 minutes in an hour. That's £3,600 an hour. Multiply that by 24 hours. I think it works out £83,000 or £84,000 a day. Times that by 12, that's £1 million. Nothing to tell. And anyone who's doing this game will tell you, I've had 1.6 fall at a dock. Literally just fall. Oh, it's captured. You can't cry.
And what happened? So when it obviously got hot in 2001 after the 9/11, did you then have to sort of readjust what you was doing?
Yeah, we started to do a lot in the trucks then.
Right.
Bringing all the trucks in. They're finishing off on the cocaine thing though, just so I can finish. But I chose not to do that. Right. And I'm not looking for anybody out there or them to do it. But I genuinely didn't for those reasons I said. Right. But I could have. If If I'd have done that for 6 months, I'd have been finished, Terry. We wouldn't be sat here today. You'd be saying, "Oh, I knew
We'd be in a yacht. We'd be on a yacht.
Yeah.
You'd be going, come on the yacht.
Yeah,
Let's do it on the yacht.
I knew. Well, I seen you on P Diddy's yacht as it goes.
Wasn't me.
Can you remember that?
Wasn't me.
It was you, though, wasn't it?
Never met P Diddy.
You have as well. Do you know all that's going on then? And you have to be very careful because I've never met him, but I know that you have.
No, I've met him. Yeah, I've met him.
Oh, I know you have. I've seen it.
But I haven't met him. If you know what I mean. Yeah. It's like saying that you wrote Jimmy Savile and he invited
I met Jimmy Savile's in
and he invited,
you know that
he went round Dave's house, was he?
No, you know where the place I don't want to go into.
Right.
I met him there because he used to come there. He was an honorary Green Beret. He was.
Right. Okay.
And he used to come there a lot.
Wow.
He used to come to Lympstone, CTC. Anyone can Google it and check it. Right. He used to come there. Yeah.
But he was an honorary Marine.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't even know that.
He used to do all the. He was always there. He used to do the things for the Stoke Mandeville charity and that. If you Googled him now, there'd be a picture of him with his Green Beret on.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I only met him once in Ibiza, and I had a couple of really good nights and some fun. But I've got to say, like, I didn't see.
It's going to be a joke.
No, it's no joke. But I didn't see anything bad happen. I didn't see him drugging anybody. I didn't see him beating anybody up.
Oh.
But I mean, obviously, that video of him has gone viral with him. Doing what he was doing, and I mean, you can see he's clearly on CCTV beating that woman. So I think his career's over. I mean, and do
you think so, Toby?
Lots of people are coming out now saying, he's done this, he's
the
done
other
that.
Fella, and
look, when you're in the public eye on that level, I mean, he was international pop star, music mogul.
Yeah.
And as I said, when I met him, he was really polite, really friendly. We shared his table. We had a few drinks for him. We had a good laugh. But again, I mean, we didn't exchange phone numbers. We didn't become buddies.
But he was on his yacht and everything, weren't you? I've seen the pictures.
Yeah, but it was only like literally just on, have a few drinks and go.
I
wasn't staying there for months.
Yeah. Do you know, while we're on that subject, you know who also I met when I was at that other place as well?
Yeah.
Prince Andrew.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he was there. We went once to a place called Oakhampton, it is, in Dartmoor, on exercise. And he was there to get his, just before the Falklands War, to get his. And do you know what? Do you know why he was different? Because everyone else was in fatigues, and he was, apart from his top.
Right.
And he had a navy blue Adidas tracksuit top on, and no one else had one of them on. No one. And he had his cap comforter on, and he was he was on the commando course to get his green beret because he was going as a helicopter pilot to there. And he's quite a handsome bastard. Right. And the reason why I say it is because it's always made me laugh, the fact that allegedly he's a fucking nonce. No, allegedly, not me. I'm not saying he's a, but he was a handsome bastard. He was. He didn't need to force women or anything on anybody.
Do you know
like
something?
So,
I think. Like, unfortunately, when you're a member of the royal family, obviously there's protocol, there's things you can do, there's things you can't do. And I think he was always the party prince. He was always in Annabelle's. He was always in, what was the club? Tramps. He was like going out, fashion photographers. He
went with Kustak.
Yeah, he was like one of the chaps, right? Yeah. So when you saw him out and about, even though he was a prince and he was a member of the royal family, he probably wanted to party and have a laugh. And he probably did his duties, but he also had that wild side where he wanted to party and have a laugh. And look, when you're a member of the royal family, or when you're a celebrity of a certain level, people will come to you and go, "Do you want to come on my yacht? Do you want to come and stay around my house? Do you want to come out for dinner? Do you want to come meet my mates?" Because everyone likes fucking people, right? Yeah. And if you're rich, and you can afford, to have fucking, like, I've known those rich people, and some of them are like, in the billions, right? And there was a woman that I was really good friends with who lived next door to Trump, and her house was 140 million house. Right. That's how big it was, right? And she would literally invite Joan Collins, she'd invite George Hamilton. I'll be around there, knows why. But there'd be a group of us. There
are some strange bedfellows in life, and I get that. I get that. Yeah, carry on.
But I actually said to her, I said, I love having you in my life because you are so fun, right? And you are like my surrogate mother, right? Because she was a lot older, and she'd always invite my wife and my kids, and she was like at this amazing house, and she wanted to share it. She'd have a house in the Bahamas. She'd go, come and stay in the Bahamas, like do whatever you want. And I used to say to her, I really appreciate this.
Yeah.
But why me? And she used to say, look, I like you, you're a funny guy. And she said, my life, I can do whatever I want. I can hang out with whoever I want. And I choose my friends, right? And I just thought, wow, when you've got money, you can choose your friends. And I think people like Epstein, right? Obviously, there was all the controversy about him and what he was doing. But, he was a billionaire. He had a house in Palm Beach. He had this island. He had private jets. If you went to his island, and you was a fella and you was single, you probably got unlimited champagne, caviar. Yeah. You probably got a chef doing whatever you want. You got all these like dolly birds all being like lined up, however, whoever you want. And people can say, he was a bad man and all the rest of it. But, he probably thought, look, no one's going to know, and I'm just going to behave badly. We're on a private island. Do you know what I mean? So even though people say, well, that's not a way a member of the royal family should act. No. Nobody actually knows what he did. He says he didn't do anything. He says he was innocent. Other people are saying he isn't. But, if you was on a billionaire's island and you had a load of, it's not like if somebody said, oh, I've got some girls, we're going to have a party. You wouldn't go around going, oh, can I see your ID? Can I make sure you're over 18? Even though most of them were. But again, I think it's more to do with the fact that this guy had been arrested and charged with sex offences. Yeah. And obviously he was hanging out with him.
Sticks, doesn't it?
And it's sort of like, why are you hanging out with him? Yeah. I mean, you get it, right?
People are looking for, you see, the thing that I say, listen, again, not to glamorise, not to demonise. The one bit that they have is that one girl's one statement, and I'm thinking for some guy who's meant to have been in some cabal of, all this nefarious activity and everything, why have they got just this one photo and this one person? Why isn't there another 10 people saying, yeah, she's right because he did that to me last week and that? But I don't want to doubt her word because I don't want everybody on there, all them women going like, yeah, you're misogynist, you're a victim shamer and all this and all that. I don't know. All I know is when I seen him, he had a different Adidas top on, which I believe was due to the fact that his uncle had been blown up by the IRA a few years earlier. So it was so that he could be easy identifiable if, say, someone came to try and cause him some harm and everything. But yeah, I met him at the same place. Right. But yeah, when you get time, go, what I said to you, go through, you'll see him. Wow. He was always in fatigues, the red and white gym vest with the cross cannons for the thing, and he'd have his green beret. He was an honorary green beret.
Wow.
And he used to come and do auctions there once every couple of months to raise money through all his record pals and radio pals to raise money off of the bootnecks for Stoke Mandeville Hospital. Right. Yeah, wow. Strange, isn't it? Wow. Right, where are we?
Melvin. But
I don't want to take up all your time. Go on.
No, it's a good chat, mate. We're not on the clock.
Right, good. Go on then.
But you obviously had to change things up in 2001 because of the 9/11.
Yeah.
And then you were doing the trucks.
Yeah.
I mean, how does that work? Is it literally paying people off, or is it literally hidden in cans or compartments?
Everybody's got their own way, and everybody's got, and without giving all the trade secrets away, some transport is flagged, some transport isn't flagged. Some people will use, smother, swarf over the top of it and take it through that way, or they'll use couriers or different companies, or they'll set up bogus companies to import and export stuff, and they'll do dry runs and then they'll get other runs. But basically, I'm not telling anything that nobody doesn't know. You can just read the papers and you'll see it there. Lots of different ways to do it. But obviously, doing what we call suicide runs is not for me. I was never into that way. You just
fingers crossed.
Yeah, that's no good. If you've got like a sort of a flag company that's like a blue chip company that's going backwards and forwards, they have to make a decision at the borders, Terry, and they do, right? There's thousands upon thousands of trucks coming through. So is it going to be from company A, B, C, or D? Well, company A crossed this border, 20 wagons a week, every week for the last 10 years. So if it's on there, you know, when are we going to find it there? This one here, I've never seen these before. When have these ever come through? They get all the manufacturers. They know who's coming through, don't they? When's the last time these come through? Oh, they've never been. Lots of people fall down because of stupid mistakes like that, because the guys on the borders and that are well schooled in questions to ask you if you come through. Do you know where have you been? And you tell a lie, and they can see by the coins in your tray that you've been to, say, down by Gibraltar, so they know that you've probably been to La Linea or something like that. But you tell them you haven't been in Spain, but you've got a crisp packet from Spain in your cab, or all these sort of things. So,
but they will stop. So if you're not going through there a lot, whatever cover you use, you're more likely to get a pull.
But they've got that many. It's really difficult for them, and I think their priorities have changed slightly. Although they're mad to stop drugs and everything getting through, their biggest concern is people smugglers and weapons smugglers. They don't want weapons, because since the Eastern Bloc sort of fell apart, they've got all these countries, which they have now, you know, that you can go and you can just toddle in and go and buy all these weapons. And like I've crossed over into the book about this, that make no mistake about this, Terry, right? I've seen from my experience in the high security estate, right, with a lot of the brothers the Muslims that have been convicted of tax offences. That's what they call the terrorist offences, right? If you have a look at them, and this is true what I'm going to say, and I've spoken to nearly all of them, one way or the other, and I have, right, whilst what they do might be considered savage, they are not. Most of them are really clued up individuals. They've got degrees in biochemistry or engineering or something else. Like I said to you earlier about the doctor, you know, he's a doctor, and he's driving gas canisters into a hospital because of his own personal agenda on that there. And the point that I'm trying to long-winded get down to is if you have a look at most of the attempted or the attacks that they've done, they're really, really sort of unprofessional. They're using knives and, you know, fake bombs and vehicles and cars and that, because they haven't been in and amongst and around serious criminals. So what you do is now, instead of them using the unsophisticated, near on childish-like tools that they've been using to create major hassle and carnage, you put them all into these prisons now, where they're with the worst of the worst in the high security estate, who know how to get hold of AK-47s, how to get hold of every type of explosive and firearms and everything else. And you put them with these people. So eventually, if and when these people are released, if they've still got the mindset to go and create carnage, and some of them have, some of them haven't, but some of them definitely have. I've been with some of them where they have. I've walked an exercise yard with one who literally he's quite happy to go and put himself and everyone else to wherever he's going, to paradise. He's more than happy to carry on that path. So they'll be more sophisticated because they'll be armed by some of these people, and they will. So it would not surprise me in, 5 years' time, 10 years' time, when some of these people are released and everything else, they don't re-equip themselves. But this time they're not coming down the high street with a knife, not trying to slash and kill. They're going to come out with a full clip on an automatic weapon, and they're going to create carnage.
I mean, that's a scary thought. And
you check them out. Check the sophistication of the attacks. Most of the attacks that have happened, and I've been with nearly all of them, and I have literally nearly all of them. And like I say, whilst what they do is savage, most of them are not. They're clued up individuals at the end of the day, and it's very hard to kill an ideology, isn't it?
Right.
So
when you was talking about the actual smuggling part,
yeah,
and you were saying that obviously there's thousands, and they have to pick. Was there an element of paying people off to get things through? Or
I want to say a huge thanks to our sponsors, Fragrance du Bois. Now, for those of you that don't know about Fragrance du Bois, where have you been? It is one of the leading luxury fragrances, only available in Harrods, Selfridges and Neiman Marcus in New York. They've got so many different fragrances for men, for women. All of the fragrances are unisex, so make sure you get involved and sample the delights of Fragrance du Bois. For all the Criminal Connection podcast crew, we've got a special discount for you. 10% off. All you need to do when you click on the link below and choose your luxury fragrance is to put in CCPOD10 for the 10% discount.
Not from us, no.
Right, okay. I didn't know if that's how it works.
No, I set up two companies, one in the UK and one over in Madrid. Right. Try and keep away from the druggy area, although it's in a country that is associated with drugs, but try and keep it a druggy area. And basically was just doing traffic, traffic through there. They were coming through using like blue chip haulage companies to transport it, making sure when they went to pick it up that there was someone there professional, forklift, put it on. We would just put it in crates, what they call the Euro crates.
So the drivers had no clue. It was literally...
No, but you say that. We used one particular company which was really good because we had somebody on the inside, and we did, who we paid quite a lot of money. And what they could do was could tell us whether or not the truck had been stopped, where it had been stopped, and if anything had been opened, because they had all the facilities to tell us that. So we knew...
And is that in case they wanted to see where it was going? So once you...
Yeah, that's what their favourite trick is, isn't it? The police do it an awful lot. They take out the load and they put a dummy load in, let it carry on its way, because what are they going to nick? If they nick a ton of draw or a ton of cocaine, what are they going to have? A ton of draw and a ton of... That's no good for them.
Right.
They know that you'll just carry on. When I got convicted, the National Crime Squad said it. It said, this guy here, no matter what he did for 12 months, we kept on... arresting drivers and capturing stuff and everything else, which they were, and he still carried on. He never stopped, because you don't. You just go, oh, right, okay. There's always people that will deliver drugs. There's always people that will pick up drugs. Sad fact of life, they will. So you can't just go, oh, you've won. We're all going to pack in now and go home and not can have a job in the factory now. But you're not going to do that.
And I mean, at what point did you sort of think it's coming on top now? Or did you never know? It just happened one day?
No, the first time, this backfired on me. The first time, I'm really clued up on surveillance, and I am. So I know when I'm being surveillanced. I know. They're getting a lot better.
Do you feel like you're being watched now?
Yeah, well,
there's 3 cameras there. You're definitely being watched.
Yeah, you never know.
You're being watched by millions around the world.
But the first time I distanced myself from nearly everything, and I used to have a well worked out sort of routine that whenever any of the deliveries came in, I was always make sure I was mobile. I would always make sure I was on the motorways. I was always make sure that I had the phones and everything with me, so that if I got the phone call, or if when I phoned to find out if the load had been dropped and distributed, it hadn't, and it was on top, if that scenario happened, that I'd be able to dismantle the phone as I was driving up the motorway doing 100 mile an hour and throwing parts of it out the window. Because the mainstay of any drug conviction is a phone. Right. The mainstay of most criminal convictions at the moment is phones. It's all EncroChat, isn't it? And I've seen some of the evidence in EncroChat, and it's unbelievable, because when people used to have what we call the basher phones, even if I was talking to you and you was in Spain, I would say, have you got them bricks? Have you got this? Have you got that? I would never say, hello, Terry, have you got our cannabis resin ready? And can you put me a 9mm or, this in there and everything? You would never say that. You would just say, hey, listen, have you got something? You would just code word it. Even if you was on a basher phone and you're going to throw it away in there, you would always do it. On some of these EncroChat, these people literally have just had big neon signs pointing and saying, I've seen one where there's a contract on an old bloke where they're going to shoot him. And the guy is saying to him, I've pulled up. He looks a right nice bloke, he does. And they've said, forget that. Just put the gun in the pizza box, knock the door, and when he opens it, take it out and shoot him twice. No, coded message in it. Just all as I've said it.
Beware of pizza delivery drivers and window cleaners.
For sure. I was quite, I thought I was quite surveillance savvy, but I keep saying this. It's been said before on millions of others, and it's true. I only need to slip up once, and I'm fucked. They could slip up 100 times and that. I knew they were following me. I trapped one in once in the waterworks. Actually, physically trapped him in. He jumped out of the car and ran off. And obviously somebody who was on the other side of the radio must have said, you better get back there, because he's about to break into the car, which I was going to take the paperwork that he had in the car. But I knew I was being followed. I'd go down like a dual carriageway. I'd do 120 mile an hour. And as soon as they get behind me, I'd just slam on my brakes. Literally, I'd cause nearly a pilot. I'd just slam on my brakes. Because what they're going to do, they can't stop behind me. They've got to go past me. They do all that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, they're brilliant at what they do, Terry. I hate to admit this. I say this. It's like murders. How many people actually get away with murder in this country?
I think, so interesting enough, we had a law enforcement guy on the other day,
right?
Who won the Queen's Peace Medal, David Johnston.
Right.
highly decorated, and he actually said that they solved 97% of all the murders in this country.
Yeah,
in America, he said it's something like 7%, but they've solved them.
No, listen, they're when these people, I've said to people before, see here, when you cross the line in this country with these people, if you piss them off and they decide that you're where they'll put they were about to pull off me, and I know this for a fact. After a year, because the last time they were on me for 2 years, cost a lot of money, Terry. When I got all my unused and all my other evidence, I go through everything. I'm like some sort of like nut job. I don't let my solicitors and barristers do it all. I go through it as well, because they're just getting paid a wage. They're not me, so I go through it all myself. So I got all the RIPA requests out and everything. They're the things that they have to fill in to ask for intrusive or surveillance and everything else. And some days I would have, for nearly 9 months, used to have up to 33 officers a day on me.
That's
following
a lot,
me.
isn't it?
It's a lot, Terry. It's a lot. Costs a lot to do it.
You're like Britain's most wanted.
No, but they, after 9 months, 10 months, they're about to pull off. I know they were. I got told by someone who'd been interviewed them, who said to them, do you know something? Had we not caught this guy, they caught a guy who was delivering 12 blocks of heroin.
Right.
And I'm deeply ashamed to even mention the word and all the rest of it. It's in the book, how I ended up doing this. I did it for a favour for somebody because they owed us 260,000 quid or something like that. And I don't run stress operations. If I work with people, it's business. You pay your debt. If you haven't got the money, you explain to me why you haven't got it. We work out how we're going to get it. Do something else. These people, I went and seen them, long story short, they haven't got it because they're stuck out in some country. I said, where is it? They told me the country it was in. I said, sound, I'll get it back for you. As soon as they sold me what it was, Terry, I should have just turned around and left the room. And I should have. Because no good comes out of Brown. Nothing. Right. None whatsoever. It's a bad drug. It does bad things to people. And it's just a bad karma thing. I should have just left it. And anyone listening to this or watching it, when I say I did it as a favour and I've never done it again, I think, what a wanker. He's trying to make himself sound not so much as a bad scumbag drug dealer. But the reason why I can confidently say that is because in the covert listening device that they took from my offices, in there, 2 months after that seizure, I'm being asked to do the same thing again for someone else. And I say to the bloke on the phone, not a chance. I don't want to do nothing to do with H or Brown ever again. You know, we did that as a favour and it's backfired on us because the only reason we brought it, we bought it in for these here was because they couldn't get it here. And when it came, they was going to give us our 260,000 quid or something.
Well, it was the money, wasn't it? It wasn't. Yeah.
So I said, this one and only occasion I'm going to do that and get it there. But what happened was it came in, my delivery driver got picked up and got jail. He got 10 years for it. And I was pissed because I'd said to them, I'll get it in for you, but when I get it in for you, it was in Greenwich, you have to go and collect it. And when I phoned them to say it was here, so they had to collect it, another one of them, oh, but we're all on the drink, we can't do this, we can't do that, messers. So I can't leave the truck driver there with it. I can't, he's got other things to do. So I sent someone to go and do it. Scandalous. But, what was the end bit you was just asking?
So then when that guy got picked up, I take it did he throw you under the bus?
No.
Oh, right, okay.
No. So I knew that they were surveillancing us. So I knew that was happening.
Right.
And they just, the point I was going to make is from there, they were going to quit, but as soon as they made that, they got more funded. As soon as it was Class A drugs, they got more funding because all of the collections that they'd done on this last one, it was all like 200 key of Pollard, 100 key of Amphet, 200 key of Amphet, 50 key of weed. It was all like Class B drugs. It was all like not small amounts to, I suppose, the general.
If you got caught, you couldn't say it was personal, could you?
No, but not massive, Terry. So to them, like, £500,000 quid worth of this or 200 grand's worth of this or 300 grand's worth of that, that's not what they're all about. They want to catch people that are bringing in like, £200 million worth of coke and stuff like that. So they'd give up at the end of the day. It must have cost them more money than they was ever going to get by doing it. So I know that 100% they were going to give up. And once they made that arrest, they decided to carry on. But I knew at the time, and I did, that, my days were going to be numbered, and I did. But Yeah, we stopped using all our delivery drivers and all our units and all our things, and we used somebody else's. And then I ended up on one thing in the February. Somebody had phoned me up, and I think they dropped not a lot, about 300,000-400,000 quid's worth of weed off, and I got this guy to go and pick it up to go and drop off somewhere. He got followed. They nicked him. And then they come and nick me. And I, believe it or not, I don't know how or why, to this day, still can't work out how or why. I was in Neville's car in Coventry City Centre in a dead-end street. And that's the start of the book, that is, when they come running down the street. And I had 9 phones on me at the time. I know, yeah. I've got ones with no microphones in. I've got ones that only talk to certain people in certain countries. It's embarrassing, really. It's amateur, but this is how I am. This is how I'm going around. So I'm looking up and I can see all these people running down. I'm thinking, someone's in the shit here. Little did I realise it was me who was going to be in the shit.
Wow.
Because then they open the door, and that was it. That was me gone.
And I take it because they got the phones as well. There's probably stuff on the phones that they got as well.
Yeah, not a great deal in fairness, because I used to change my phone every week.
Right.
I used to do all my bashes. I used to just say that when I say 9, I got caught with 4 brand new ones in the boxes in the boot. So if I'd come here today to meet you to talk about criminality, I would have given you one and said, my number's in there. When you ring me about the job, ring me on that number there. And then as soon as we're done, you throw it away. That's it. It's finished.
Right.
And I would do that all the time. I did, all with phones. So the only thing I think that they found...
I take it that means, so for every call you make, then you've got to chuck that away and get a new phone.
Yeah, I'd keep them normally about a week, and then I'd bin them. That was it. I'd only get, it was the Vodafone time or the Orange top up. You put 20, 40 quid on them. You just chat for that week, and then you'd bin it. Right. And in the drug game, you had to do that. And if you didn't do that, it's what kills you. One of my delivery drivers, he embarrassingly admitted to me, one of the reasons why I didn't know this at the time, the reason why they were on him was because he made a schoolboy error. Instead of going to buy a £10 voucher, he called me off his contract phone. Called me just once on his contract phone. But because they had their suspicions of him, he was on their surveillance. So as soon as he made that call, they knew that number was coming to me.
Right.
Just a schoolboy error. Really bad, but it is what it is. I never chastise them at the end of the day. How can you? They're doing something.
And I take it was put straight on remand.
Oh yeah.
Right. So you went straight on remand. Did you ever get a jail-free card, or did you have to go?
I thought, Terry, right, they kept me there for 4 days. This is when I knew something was wrong. Anyway, he introduces me in the interview, and he said, I'm going to show how you're the controlling force between these 6 events that we've made arrests and all that, and we're going to prove that it's you that's the controlling force behind that. And I thought, yes, and. So we sat there. Like I said, I don't speak to him. I don't say no comment to nothing. I just sit there. I don't say anything. Just sit there. So... And he describes the first 2 events, and the first 2 events, he's got them wrong. They're completely wrong.
Right.
Now, it doesn't matter to me at the time, because I know I'm, guilty of what I'm guilty of, and I know that I'm going to get my arse smacked. But I'm really, the first 2 events he describes, I'm thinking, that's not me. You've got all this wrong, and he'd got it completely wrong. He'd got I don't know how they'd managed it, but they have. It's in the book how they've got it. But the first 2 events, they've completely got wrong. They've got me in some van going somewhere where 200 Kia pollen was picked up. And I know I've never been in this van. Right. But, I'm at the time a 55-year-old bald-headed tubster. How many 55 bald-headed tubsters drive white vans? Thousands, if not tens of thousands. So I know what they've done. They've followed me to a meet where I did meet this guy, and he gave me some money he owed me. They've followed then the van, thinking it's me in the van, to go on to this meet, which is the place where they went the day after, and they raided it and found the 200 Kia pollen. It wasn't me. So I'm thinking, I made him repeat it. I got the solicitor, I said, stop, I want you to repeat the first 2, because the other one was, you got picked up by somebody in a car, they took you to this meeting, we've got actual visuals and cameras and video evidence of you meeting this guy, and they describe who he is and tell me, and I'm thinking, I've never met this guy ever in my life, and I hadn't. Right. First time I met him, believe it or not, was a year and a bit later in Crown Court when he jumped out of a seat, and he's about 24 stone, and banged on the glass in the dock, shouting in a mad Irish accent, which made it even sort of more dramatic, "You're a fucking liar. I've never fucking done anything with this man here." Because the prosecution said that he and I had agreed to do this particular deal with amphetamine. And I hadn't. What had happened, you couldn't make this up, a friend of his had borrowed his car to come and see me. They'd followed that car, put two and two together and said it was him. Now, he's 20-odd stone, big bold geezer and Irish, huge. And the kid who came to meet me was a raving alcoholic, weighed about 7 stone if he was wet, about 5'6" in his high heels, with a little beard, because being an alcoholic sometimes sort of, lost him the opportunity to be clean shaven and everything. It was unbelievable. But so I've had the interview. They threw me back in the cells. That's when I knew something was not right, though. So Monday comes, I'm thinking, right, I'm going to court. I'm going to go to Winson Green. I'm going to go to Hewell Grange. Right. They're the local prisons to me, remand. No one comes for me at 9 o'clock in the morning. No one comes at 10. No one comes at 3 o'clock. 6 o'clock at night, they open the door up. It's armed police officers. I said, "Oh, yeah." I said, "Yeah, you're going to have to go in handcuffs." I said, "Oh, right, okay then." So put me in handcuffs, and I walk through this corridor in this police station. I walk into this room. There's a big TV set like that. Comes to life, and I didn't know at the time, but it's a woman. It's the courts. And they said, who is the accused here then? So I put my hands up like that, because obviously I'm in handcuffs. This woman went absolutely apeshit, this magistrate. She went mental, shouting down the TV, shouting, "What is he doing in handcuffs? You have to come and ask the court for permission to put him into handcuffs. I'm not having any of this. You get him out of them handcuffs." So this copper, thinking he's going to be a brown nose, top, schoolboy, he come into the picture to undo the handcuffs, carrying his Heckler and Koch machine pistol. She went absolutely apeshit, went mental. The whole place went into uproar. "You can't come into the court. This is the court. This is a court. You've got firearms. You need permission to come in." I'm adjourning it, and all got adjourned.
Right.
So an hour later, I'm thinking, fucking hell, what's going on here? It's my whole life. I'm only going to court for drugs. What's going on here? So I come back up in an hour. Now I'm not in handcuffs. I'm just sat, and there's no armed officers on screen. They're just sat either side of me here. So long story short, prosecution get up, say, "Yeah, he's the devil. He's this, he's that, and everything else, and he's a right bad bastard. So off to jail he shall go." Prosecution say all that. My lot don't say anything, because what is there to say? They know I'm going to get remanded. I've got previous for it. I've just finished a 3 year ago. So they come to get me now. Say, "Right, we're moving." I think, well, thank God for that. At least I'll be able to get my thoughts together and get there. They're all armed police officers. They go into a police van, put me in this police van, then it starts. All my days. All the sirens, the outriders, the motorbikes, the cars, everything. It's a fucking shitstorm, Terry.
Told you he was a king of cannabis,
Oh,
didn't I?
my gosh. No, listen, seriously. Do you know, if I'd have been in my early 20s or 30s, I would have loved all that. I would have been proper kudos, that would have been, wouldn't it? You know what I mean? Oh, my God, I'm cringing. The noise is absolutely... And the geezer sets off driving like Lewis Hamilton. Right. And I'm in this Cathay van, a police van, getting all this. And I eventually end up in Hewell Grange. They drive straight through the gates, straight up to reception, open reception, take me out, handcuffed, armed police, to the thing there. Geezer pops out, says, "Right, you're going to the SEG." I said, "I'm not going to no SEG. I haven't done anything wrong. I've got to have done something wrong before you put me in the SEG." He says, "Nah, you're going to be Cat A, mate, so you're going in the SEG." So anyway, they left me in the SEG for the night, and the next day, the whole day, till about 5 o'clock. Some old crusty come to the door and opened it up. I said, "Can I get a razor, mate? Because I've been in the police station for 5 days now. Right. I would like to have a shave." He went, "No, you can't have razors, you Cat A, and all the rest of it, you got to wait." And he gave me some polystyrene thing, which I think was meant to be some food in it or something. Right. I had a look at it. Thought, "What the fuck's that?" I said, "Hey, mate, listen, what's that?" And he went, "Oh, dinner, that's all that's left." And that. I said, "He's all on the wind up here or something." I said, because downstairs I could hear this guy shouting, some scouse was shouting racist abuse. And he'd been on the process, so he was shitting up. He was shitting all the cells up down the SEG and that. And he's calling, and they're coming down going, listen, if you just calm down and you stop shitting up and we'll get you something nice to eat and do it. And I'm saying, listen, I'm not trying to shit your cell up or shout any racist shit or kill anybody. And I can't even get a fucking razor. And you're offering him the whole world down there. They went, oh, yeah, don't worry. Someone's coming to get you. So about another hour later, that was it then. They all turned up, giving me my yellow and green suit. Do you know what, Tel? From the very first time they walk in, because this follows me for the next nearly 11 years, first thing they do when they crack the door, and this geezer who came in, I swear to God, he was the biggest man I've ever seen in my life. And he was fucking huge. And he went, the first thing he said was, is there going to be any problems? And I sort of laughed. And I was dying to say, yeah, you ain't never going to get through that fucking cell door, because he was massive. He was huge. Fucking black geezer, massive. And then I thought, you know, I hope the rest ain't all that like so, but they are. What they do when they come to get you from these high security jails, they send all the biggest bastards they can find, because they want to say to you, when they say, is there any problems? What they're really saying to you is there's not going to be any problems, because there is. We've got enough strength and bodies here to beat you to death.
Right.
So I just went, no, of course there's not. Because that conversation, believe it or not, follows me for the last 11 years. Go on a visit. They come to collect you to take you on a visit. Is there going to be any problems? I'm thinking, fucking hell, what? Do you know something like that? Oh, I don't know. No, my family, my granddaughter's coming to visit me. What, do you think they're going to, like, set about you or something? No, there's not. But it's their way of trying to gauge how everything's going to go. So then they drive me off and I end up in Milton Keynes, Wood Hill. And like I say, when you go in there, you go through the doors and I knew again, you know, I've already in my yellow and green suit, so I know I'm going to be potential Cat A. But to move there from where they are, you have to have an officer with a dog.
Right.
Because they've got no helicopter war on a certain bit. So anyway, yeah. So I'm Cat A now, and they take me to Wood Hill, and that's where all my drama starts then.
What was that?
Anyone who's been there will tell you, in fairness, I was all right when I was there. I think I was there for about 2 and a bit years. But it's a strange place because you've got guys it's a high security estate. I don't think it is any longer, but it was at the time. So you've got loads of Cat A's, not many high risks, Cat A high risk. There was only 2 at the time. That was me. I was what they call a Cat A high risk. So that means that you're higher than a Cat A. It's the equivalent of a double Cat A. A few people have explained it before. So anyway, and it moves it means, like I said to you earlier, you move cells every 28 days. You have your visits in a different room from everyone else.
Right.
On the visit, a prison officer sits with you within earshot, about a foot away. He either listens and writes down everything that you say, and you have all that stuff there. You can't go and work in normal workshops. You have to try and work in front of them because they have to have an officer with you at all time. And you move with what they call the book, which is a little yellow book about the size of that. It's got a yellow cover on it, has your book number on it. So when I'm moving, say I go to the gym, they'll say, you know, Oscar 1 over the radio, book number 57 is coming to the gym. So that's to make sure that if there's going to be any sort of issues between you moving, because you're high security, from there to the gym, even if it's only 30 yards, that they've got all the pathways clear and everything ready in case you do. So, yeah, I was there.
I bet you, I mean, this sounds like Hannibal Lecter treatment.
Yeah, it's terrible. I don't care what anyone said, and everyone can say I'm a whinging pisser, and I am a whinging pisser. Mentally, it's draining. And you got to remember, there's people like Coline Gunn. I believe he's still high risk now after 17 years.
He was the main fella from Nottingham, right?
Yeah, allegedly, he is, yeah. He was found guilty of murdering the 2 family members of somebody who was convicted of shooting and killing his nephew's best mate. So these are all allegedly, because I believe Colin's still appealing. Whether he is or not, I don't know, but he's still appealing. So you've got, at the time when I was there was me and Kamel Borgas. I don't know if you know who he is. He was a terrorist who was arrested and killed a police officer in Manchester. Right. He was the one who was part of the ricin plot,
right,
where he was trying to do the poisoning and everything there. So he was there as a high risk, and I was there. It was only us 2 at the time as high risk in the whole prison out of I don't know. I think there was 5 house blocks down there with about 200 on each, so about 1,000 prisoners.
So being in that sort of category, AA category, high risk, the top tier, if you like.
Yeah.
What other criminals did you come in? You said you met Coline Gunn, you met this other guy, this guy. Who else did you sort of bump into along your travels?
Oh dear, it's endless. Dave Bieber, he was
Is
the
that
one.
Justin Bieber's dad? No, I'm joking.
He was the guy who he also shot coppers. He shot the copper up in Leeds, didn't he?
Wow.
The American who was wanted for murder came over here. Dave Bieber.
That was him.
Yeah,
wow.
That was him. Yeah, he just recently.
He isn't related to Justin Bieber, is he?
No, he'd recently just been given another 10 years on top of his 40-odd year rec.
Did he kill was it police officer in this country or was it in America?
No, he killed somebody in America. He killed the police officer.
Because I remember reading about it. And,
bad.
Right, it's really bad, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's really bad. It was bad, but, you know.
What did he get? He got 50 years, basically.
Well, no. What they actually gave him was they'd done it with a few of them. There was another one where he gave him a whole life tariff. So they challenged it in the European Court of Human Rights. And I think it was there. And what actually happened was they overturned that because they said that they couldn't. So what they do now, though, they can still give whole life tariffs,
right.
but they've got to be under certain circumstances of certain acts to do it. But what they did with him, and they did it with 2 other terrorists that I know, what they did was they said, oh, okay, Sam, so we won't give them whole life terms. We'll just give them a new tariff then. So they gave him a 40-year recommended tariff, I believe. So it means he has to serve a minimum of 40 years.
Wow.
And basically what that means, no matter what anyone says, is in 40 years' time, when you and I, you might still be here, but I'll definitely be gone because I think he's been away 22 years now. So he's got at least another 18 years to go before he's even at tariff. And what they'll do, Talon, they'll just take his file out and they'll just blow the dust off it and just say, well, he's going to be a fraggle, isn't he? Where are they going to release him to? He's going to be 80, 90 years of age. Well, what are they going to do? Where are they going to put him? Palliative care. They're doing it now.
Why did he kill the police? Was it because he didn't like the police, or was it just?
No. I don't know exactly.
Right.
I'm going to be
remember
honest
reading
with
about
you.
it and just being shocked by it. But
I spent quite a while with Dave, and he taught me a great deal about American football. He's a really, really sociable sort of guy.
Yeah.
But obviously he's got issues. He's got mental health issues. I think the medication doesn't help him. But I could never knock him. I personally always got on with him. I believe, whether it's right or wrong, I don't know. Someone else will correct me or put it in, like you say, in the comments below. I believe he was on his way to do something and he was stopped by them because he had no tax on the car or the tax had run out. He knew that if they did a body check on him, that he'd be fucked because he was wanted for murder or whatever. So I think he just made a decision extremely quickly that whatever was happening, they weren't going to arrest him.
Right.
So, and I believe it's on tape that he says in the back of the car, you don't want to do this. You don't want to do this.
Right.
And they're obviously just normal dibble and they're saying, well, it don't matter what you think, we're going to nick you.
Right.
And then obviously he's pulled his thing out and he's ruthlessly done the one.
Right.
And the other one's ran off, I believe, and he's tried to do him again. So, yeah, he used to do the strangest thing he did. When I was with him on Belmarsh unit, on the high secure unit in Belmarsh. There's only 8 of us in that unit at the time. I think there was me, Cocky, Curtis Warren, Paul Alexander, Ramsey, one of the failed 7-7 bombers, he was there. And who else was there? He'll come to me anyway. There's only about 7 of us there.
You must have some good Curtis Warren stories.
Oh, yeah. I've had the conversation with him. Curtis just wants to be forgotten. I mention Curtis in my book, and I do. Right. But in it, I explain why I won't try and elaborate or make more ground out of him. And I could, because he's a phenomenon. Everybody's really interested in him.
Right.
Because when I first bumped into him, moving slightly away from that, it was also on Belmarsh unit. And when I walked onto that unit, he was the first person I saw. And I thought, here now, as if my life ain't shit enough, I'm going to have to spend another year with some now then, You know, calm down, Scouse fucking wannabe gangster. Right. And I was wounded, Tel. And then he came over and he went, "Hi, I'm Curtis." And as soon as he said that, I knew the strength of him. Because if you was him and you was a prick, you'd have come over and said, "I'm Curtis Warren." He didn't do that.
Did he ever say to you, calm down?
Never.
No.
Never. So he came over and introduced himself, said, "I'm Curtis." And I said, "Yeah, I'm Stuart Reid." No, I didn't.
I'm the Reidinator.
Yeah, you get where I'm coming from. I said, "No,
you
I'm
might
Stuart.
know me. I'm the king of cannabis."
Yeah.
They call me
Well,
Mr. Reid.
You're talking about a geezer here who was allegedly like, you know, he was 20 years ahead of the game. When everyone else was scratching their ass, picking their nose and doing whatever, he was importing tons and tons of cocaine. 20, 30 years ago. Head of the game, and when he was in Holland, super armed, super equipped, super everything. Got all the context all there. No, I get on really well with him, and you know that I do, but he was the most, out of everyone I've met, the most humble person that you could ever meet. He is nothing like the media portray. He's super, super intelligent, and I mean that. He's one of the brightest, sharpest people you ever likely to come across. He's one of the kindest, politest too. Again, like me though, he was a fucking drug importer. But he did that because you can earn lots of money from doing that. Right. It doesn't make you to be. It's not like in the movies, Terry. We don't all drive black Range Rovers and we don't get out.
And
with
you don't have
long...
like dodgy wigs on. No.
No. Yeah. But yeah. No, but do you know what I mean? When they're portrayed on the TV, they all wear like long leather coats and they hold silver attaché cases with that. I used to change money with a mate of mine, like, you know, up to like a bar at a time. And we'd have double Tesco's bag turned inside out with like half a bar in that and half a bar in that. You know, it's not like it's portrayed in the movie. And he wasn't. He's a great guy. Like I've said to you, this stuff, not interested. Absolutely not interested.
Come on, Curtis. Come on. You know you want to.
I've told you. He's told me. When I asked him again the other day, I said, "Shall I phone you just for the crack when I'm with him?" And I just want to be forgotten.
Right.
Literally just wants to be forgotten. He's got all these charges coming back up again in August. Now, I don't know when this is going out, but I got a feeling that they're going to have to eat a bit of humble pie, these prosecution people, because what are they going to say to him in a full trial in front of a jury and everything else? Right, he's here because he got home late one night and he's got a bit more than £1,000 and he goes and stays at his girlfriend and he should tell us.
Right.
You know, you've given him so much prison. He's the only person I know, and I shouldn't be doing this, but I will do it. Because this is fact. You know, like when you say you serve a 20-year sentence or a 15-year sentence, right? When you get the halfway stage, at the moment it's the halfway stage, you're allowed to go out on licence. Now, do you know on his sentence, Terry, right, he said, "No, I don't need to go out on licence. You're not holding me on licence." He stayed in prison. I don't know anybody. I know thousands of people and hundreds of villains. I don't know anyone who refused it. He refused it. He said, "No, I'm not doing licence out there."
Wow.
He did all his jail. On his confiscation order, give him 10 years for his 180 million quid. Well, I was a bit pissed because they gave me 9 million for 1.3. Right. And I paid 1 point something of mine, 1.26. Yeah, I paid 1,026,000 quid. He paid nothing. But he did every day of his confiscation order, did the whole lot.
Wow.
Ended up doing the jail in Holland for the murder of the kid in the Holland prison. That weren't his beef, nothing to do with him. It weren't his, it was someone else's beef that he jumped into because he will do that. He doesn't allow bullying. That's something I meant to say about Coline. He's always portrayed like, I forget the geezer's name now. Is it Neil Woods, I think it is, the copper who wrote the book about him and said he'd done this and done that. I'd never even met him. Never met him once. And he's another one. Finishing off with Curtis. Curtis he doesn't want to be involved in any of this. Right. Not interested. I want to glamorise what he's doing. And he's been offered, people can think or say what they want. I know, I've seen, since I first met him over 12 years ago, I've seen letters of intent from film companies, production companies, from Netflix people and all these people offering him tens if not hundreds of thousands of pounds to do things, and he's just not interested.
You got to do me a favour.
Go on.
You got to ring him.
Go on.
And say the podfather wants to make you an offer you can't refuse. And and tell him I'll get him a prawn sandwich and a fucking cup of tea if he comes on here.
He definitely wouldn't.
Not even for a prawn sandwich and a cup of tea.
All right, listen. I could phone him now, and you know I could. He would definitely just.
Come on, the Podfather has a little bit of weight, surely. Come on.
No one. Honest, tell. He's not honest. Genuinely, he's not in charge. Because I'd love him to come on because he has got some amazing stories, and he has amazing. His company is really good, and I sound like a bit of a fan, but I got on really well with him. But I appreciate him because he's on that level where he doesn't have to show, he doesn't have to tell.
Well, maybe we'll have a dinner with him one night, and we just have a social one.
Listen, that can be arranged. Not a problem. Not a problem. Same as Colin. I've said this before about Gunny, right? If he's portrayed in all these books as this, flat nosed thug skinhead and all that, this well may be true. But you tell me any flat, thick, skinned, flat-nosed skinhead who can find 2 police-protected witnesses and arrange for them to be killed. Tell me how you do that if you're just some thick thug.
Right.
You've got to be a bit more about you to do that.
Yeah.
No matter what anyone says.
That's true.
I don't want to admit it. If anyone's thick, it's the police. They were under their witness protection. They should have protected him. But I will say this. I know by speaking to Colin that he's still appealing, I believe, that. So, like I say, if everybody, no matter what I'm talking about or who I'm talking about here, all of them, unless I say no 100%, they said to me they did it. It's all allegedly.
Right, yeah.
So I don't know whether or not he did or he didn't. It's not my interest whether he did or he didn't. I can only go by what I did when I met him. Me and him met at Belmarsh, and we also spent time together in Full Sutton. And he was good stuff at Full Sutton.
Right.
Another one who doesn't, stops all the bullying, doesn't involve himself in stuff like that. Right. Decent person. Now, I'm going to say that about most of the people I'm talking about, and I know that's going to rile a few people because they're going to say these people have committed heinous crimes similar to you. You're a dirty thieving or dirty drug bag. Why should that? But he is. He's okay.
And when one thing I wanted to ask you, Stuart, obviously when you was in jail, and because you've been in jail for 2 decades, did you sort of see a lot of violence in jail, or because you was in that top level, there really wasn't any violence because everyone was in there for such a long time?
No, that's strange you say that, because I think it's been commented by a few other people that have been on similar to this there. The issue is when you're in the high security estate, that when violence comes a-calling, it's not a black eye and a thick lip, it's full on.
Right.
Because these people, at the end of the day, the majority of them,
death, basically.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, they've got nothing to lose. They're never getting out. If you walk down my landing, you had a look. It's got the things on them. All the Cat A's are red cards. All the others are like blue cards, and it's got on them their name, their number, how long they're doing. Life rec 42, life rec 36. I always tell this story. It's the funniest story you could ever. I think it is one of the funniest stories I've ever said, and it gives you. It will give you a level. Not trying to divert away from the violence, because I'm going to ask it because I've seen some fucking terrible things. Most of it, believe it or not, to do with the ghee or the hot water in, because they're just fucking horrendous. When someone does it, you instantly look like Nicky Lauda. Within about 30 seconds, you just things melt off you. Your fucking nose, your ears, everything. And I've seen a few of them. I watched a nut job come out of a cell once. Nut job. One of my closest pals when I was away was a guy called Eddie Baker. And he's mixed race, Eddie was. And his new neighbour, who'd only been in the cell for about 30 seconds, if that, over lunch, when they got unlocked, over lunch, came out, the first thing he did was threw a kettle of boiling hot water with sugar over Eddie. And Eddie was like a mixed race kid, so he's quite dark. And you can imagine, like, as soon as all that skins, he was pink, literally pink, as if like someone had painted him pink, all down his neck. Because this kid here was a nut fucking job. He was a fruit. And the irony was, the prison service, he'd been booted out of another prison because he'd just done the same thing to a prison officer.
Oh, so it was just bad luck. It was no reason. He just did
I know, didn't know him, didn't know nothing. And what happens on that there, as soon as he went behind his door straight away and did it and locked the door. And it always makes me laugh, this did, because straight away somebody went to his door and said to him, see as soon as you come out, you're getting fucking done in, you're getting ironed out. Well, and some of them are, they've got the clout and they've got the money to do it. I've said to him, listen, we'll find out who you are, where your family is, will Google you, will send people to your family. You're getting that. They'll line some of your family out because they can put contracts out in these places, no problem. They can do it easy enough. So, and someone said to him, what did you do that for? And he went, the voices in my head told me to do it. And afterwards I was saying to Eddie, I said, you know something with these people? I said, because I've seen loads of these cranks. The voices told me to tell you, I've had to do it. I said, none of these voices ever tell them to give you their brand new pair of trainers, do they, or their canteen? It's always badness, isn't it? And it's true. Do you get what I mean? All these voices in their heads. So I've had, I've had a few. I had a geezer come into my cell one day, a guy again, a monster, and I'm old now. And I don't mind, like I said, I don't mind having a tear up, but this geezer's huge. He'd fart and he's going to beat me. And he's come in and he's like said to me that I've got his daughter under my bed. Now, how the fucking hell do you deal with that? Tell me, how do you deal with that? There's only one door in, and it's about that big, and this geezer fills it, and he's massive.
I take it you said there's nobody under the bed, mate.
No, I said, let's pull the box out and check then, which we did. I pulled my blue box out, I checked, and he had a look, and he went, oh, yeah. I said, I think, are you sure he's not down next doors? I just want him out the fucking door. No, I did, I swear to God, I did.
That's fucked up, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a few like that, and I've seen others that have turned that way. I was with a guy, I'm not going to say his surname because I don't want to embarrass him. I'm not even going to say his name. But I met him on Belmarsh Unit. He was in for a contract killing. He's on the nicest guy, funniest guy you could ever meet. Right. Doing 36-year rec, I think he's doing. Funny, though. He'd drop out one-liners that would absolutely make you piss your pants against other people, near the bone tell. They'd want to be killing him, but he was just so clever in there. So he comes up to Full Sutton, and I'm walking down the corridor one day, and he walked straight past me. Walked past me. I fucking spent a year with you. I know, you know me and I know you. What's all that fucking about? So I said to a guy who we mutually were both, I said, what's the crack with him? He said, he's fuck Stuart, smoking spice. Fucking lost the plot.
I've heard that fucks people out.
Oh, listen, this is bad. This is so bad. So bad. So made me fucking sad. I'm a grown man. It made me really sad. He says to me, he's fucking lost it. I said, what do you mean lost it? He said, smoking spice, fucking nuts, talks to himself and everything else. So one day, the next day, I've gone into his cell. I said, listen, do me a favour, because we're in the cell. Sometimes the cells are bugged. They say they're not, but they are. I said, I'm talking to him sort of in code. I'm saying to him, listen, if you're doing this because you want to swing the leg so he can go to one of the hospitals, spend a couple of years in a hospital, because you can do that. I said, just give me the nod and we'll leave it at that. But you can't just fucking ignore me. I've just spent a fucking year with you. I know you. I know your family. What's the matter with you? And he just carried on staring at the wall. So I thought, fuck it, I left him. Anyway, about 3 days later, I'm down in like the TV room. There's only a little room about the size of this. I'm with this guy, Norman Hutchins, great kid, funny as fuck. They come in, two screws come in, say, really, listen, do us a favour, you know so-and-so, don't you? I said, yeah, why? He said, well, yeah, we know because we've been on the records. We know that you're a known associate with him. You've been at Belmarsh Unit with him. You spent this length of time with him. We need your help. I said, oh, yeah, what's that then? He said, he's upstairs. He's given all his stuff away, everything. Now, this geezer used to walk around the yard, I'm telling you, as if he was going out on a Saturday night. He used to have like more. This is another mad thing about people in jail. Honest, so you couldn't make it up. They're wearing like £1,000 coats and £700 trainers to walk around the prison yard. Me, I like to have a nice T-shirt, a nice pair of jeans to go on a visit. But other than that, I'm wearing prison gear, mate. What do I want to ruin my gear for? But some of them, Joe he was like a fashion model. He had everything. He'd given it all away, the whole lot. And I said, what? He said, yeah, he's given everything away. And he's at the gate demanding that we open him up and take him to the taxi that's waiting to take him home outside. I went, what's that fucking mean? I went, has he won his appeal in that? He went, no, of course he hasn't. He's lost the fucking plot. He's still got another 26 years to serve. So I've had to go upstairs with Norman, because Norman knew him too. I've gone upstairs, I said to him, listen, Joe, Norman went round, in fairness, Norman was vicious. And I mean vicious. If you beat Norman at chess, Norman would threaten to stab you. And he would always have a big shank on him. If you beat him at chess, some of them are not well, but he was there. But so I said to him, can you go around and get all his gear back and find out whoever he's given it all to and collect it all back in? I said to him, Joe, listen, there's not a taxi waiting for you, mate. You're not going home. this is what happens with some of these people, Tom.
Right.
You know, and 5 years before he's a contract killer.
Right.
Now 5 years on, he's a vegetable. Literally, he's a vegetable. And it made me so sad because he was such a, you know, funny, good guy and a good geezer and everything else. Yeah, listen, violence, everybody will tell their stories about the high security estate. If you've got an issue in the high security estate, it's going to be a bad issue. And it is. Because, like, no one wants to give each other a black eye. It's coming, they're going to kill you, or they're expecting you to kill them. You know, a guy who, he won't mind me mentioning his name, a guy called Ian Burley. He's only about that big. He weighs about 6-7 stone. He's had the letter. He's a whole life sentence. He's never getting out because he was a lifer, got released, murdered someone else, now he's back in. So once you've been out on a life sentence, you murder someone else, you come back in, that's your finish. You're never getting out, ever. Never, ever getting out. And Ian, I can remember Ian coming out of his cell one day, we're getting spun, and the screw said something smart to Ian. I can't remember what it was, but something, you know, trying to take the piss out of him. And Ian just said to him, listen, mate, you know, don't give it the big one in front of your fucking silly mate here. He said, because I'll just fucking stab you to death. He said, what's the worst that these will do to me? He said, they'll take my TV off me. And that's the truth.
Wow.
And I could see in the screw's face instantly that it fucking drained. Everything drained from him because he was Billy Big Bollocks with his friend, thought he'd humiliate little old Ian, like, you know what I mean, with some like one-liner, you know, I don't know what it was, but Ian just put it straight on his toes because they knew that Ian would. Ian, incidentally, tried to kill, remember Sarah Payne?
Yeah.
Well, Roy Whiting, when I wasn't there, so I'm only recalling what Ian told me. Ian said,
I read this in the paper.
When he was in Wakefield, Ian tried to kill him. He jumped up and tried to stab him with, a pen.
He did stab him, though.
Yeah, but that Roy Whiting was that much bigger than Ian. He said he fucking threw me down the landing, started booting me. Because Wakefield's Monster Mansion, nearly all of them up there are all the really bad, murderous ones. So
I thought they'd let him out for doing that, because that's a service. He's done
yeah,
a good
no.
service.
There's a few, isn't there? There's a few. The one who, Damien Fawkes is, I forget his name now.
I've just been told that we've been talking for 4 hours, and this is currently the longest podcast that I've done to date. So you win the longest podcast award, but we still got another 2 hours to go.
Right.
So I think what we should do, I think we should pause it here, to be continued, and then we'll get you in again.
Yeah, brilliant.
Mate, thank you for coming, Stuart. It's really good to see you again, buddy. We had so much to talk about, didn't we?